Youth unemployment in our country is a significant challenge, with a large portion of young people in our country unable to find decent work. Now, bearing in mind that this population makes the largest percentage in our country, according to Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, unemployment rate in our country as of 2021 was around 6.6%. So, how did we get here? Is the future really that bleak? And what can we do to turn the tables around? Today, I've been joined by a wonderful guest and a career advisor, a career expert, who will be helping us to answer these questions. Welcome, this is Voice It Out Broadcast Network, where we inspire change by helping you bloom beyond boundaries. My name is Wangere Njeri. So, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Thank you so much for joining us today and for sparing your time to be here with us. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Samson Droiji. I lecture in media and communication, as well as the departmental career and academic advisor, as well as also a trainer in careers and matters academics, and also a social observer on matters to do with employment and the lack of it in our society. Thank you.
Okay. So, it is true that unemployment among young people is so rampant and it's a challenge in our country. What do you think are the main causes of this unemployment in our country?
Yes, the causes are many and varied. It's good to know that employment is created and planned for. There being employment or no employment is a matter of planning. And sometimes, as a country, if it gets to a point we are not able to plan well for the people who are bringing forth this world. Now, this starts with the education system. Many people have debated on this matter. We have the requisite education system to enable our young people get to decent careers, or put it, or at least get engaged in own employment. Now, this is debatable. Now, each new political regime comes with new policy packages, but how did we find very good and well-articulated employment packages, something that still continues to develop the young people of this nation? It is true. We have various levels of training, all the way from the pre-unit schools all the way to universities. But when you look at the curriculum that guides our education system, it is still the white-collar kind of curriculum. We need to emphasize on competence. And I want to imagine this is the reason why we are now embarking on CBC, the curriculum, the competence-based program, to try and alleviate the problem of unemployment. However, the same curriculum, we find that the emphasis that being used has been on finishing college at whatever level and then getting employed. Little do we take time to realize with a very high rate of population, it's not possible that the economy, which has also suffered its own setbacks in the past years, which is another topic for another discussion, cannot contain all the young people we are producing. True, the answers will lie with us. The answers will lie with the kind of curriculum that we have for our young people in our school system, as well as our own creation of employment opportunities. Besides the academic learning, it's also supposed to appreciate that our talents are varied. It's true that you all need to go to school to expose our minds, but more still, we also need to develop the talent that are inherent in most of the young people.
So, the education system, as you mentioned, has played a major role in the kind of state we are in. Is it to say that there are no jobs out there?
No, jobs are there. Interestingly, that when you go to the labor market, indeed, the employers will tell you that they have opportunities for all kinds of people. But what it has is requisite skill to maneuver those jobs. For instance, if you look at the kind of school system we have and education system, the emphasis is on numbers, not on quality training. I'll give an example for instance, in the media industry. We have come from a time when media and other sectors were not liberalized in the 90s, but come the early 90s with the political liberalization, so other sectors too were liberalized. However, now we fail to create the necessary capabilities to absorb the many people that are coming from the various training institutions, whether they are public or private. I'll give an example of the then Kenya Institute Kenya Institute for Mass Communication that is government owned and used to train journalists from Kenya and the rest of the Eastern African region. Now the numbers were pegged to around 25. That was planned for the economy at that particular time that would be absorbed within the economy, mostly the public sector, because the private players were few and they were limited in terms of how many numbers they can have. Now today the emphasis in every kind of training is about the numbers, which is not matched with the facilities for training and also the purpose of what shall we do with these numbers. Now when you have large numbers of people in any training facility, without an equal match with the facilities that are available, then you're likely also to suffer the problem of skills. Now, this one still comes from because the graduates we are likely to produce are not properly skilled to meet the market needs. Now, besides that, sometimes we don't undertake serious feasibility study of the market needs of the skills that we require. We just train people in what you have traditionally been training them on, and then assume somehow the market can take those people. Now, the market now is a very specialist market. The consumer market is very decisive on what it wants. So you have to change the whole game plan here, that we need to plan. Everything is a matter of planning. I would even rather, instead of producing, let's say, 800,000, training 800,000 young people every year at the university, we look at the various training colleges and the training needs, and then we match requirements with the market so that we know for sure we need, let's say, 150,000 students in our all public and the private institutions. Now, these ones can easily be absorbed within the prevailing market of employment. And then the rest, we find other training institutions at various levels that can train them, and once we churn them out, at least they have a skill that they need to give out to the market for them to earn a living. Now, I know we have this a challenge and the procedure associated with university training. Nothing wrong with that, but we usually train the students at the universities to have the proper skills that are required of the market. We have strong linkages with the market to know exactly what is needed there, and that's why we usually supposed to have what we call curriculum reviews from time to time, periodically, so that we can also gauge what the market requires. Why am I talking about the market? Because the market is dynamic, it keeps on changing, as is stated by the consumer. So we are still stuck in the past, and taking a lot of pride in producing so many graduates, usually young people. But after they graduate, we are not able to take them, then we create a crisis.
Did you know what you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. It does not matter how old you are. Allow me to focus on the youth. Franklin Roosevelt says we cannot always build the future for our youth, but we can build our youth for the future. We also need to understand the worth of our Mother Earth. Treat it with love and care. The truth is, the natural world is changing and we are totally dependent on it. It provides our food, water, and air, so we need to defend it. This is what I believe. In a democratic country, the well-being, individuality, and happiness of every citizen is important for the overall prosperity, peace, and happiness of the nation. Therefore, dear society, we can change the world and make it a better place. It's on our hands to make a difference. Welcome. This is Voice It Out Broadcast Network, where we inspire change by helping you bloom beyond boundaries. And my name is Wangere Njeri.
Okay. So, assuming you have a skilled and a well-educated graduate but does not acquire that employment, what are some of the reasons that could be behind this?
Like I've already said, it is true because when we talk about employment market as a market, it's also limited by the performance of the economy. Currently, due to both the internal and external factors, our economy has not been doing so well in the past few years, the last 4 or 5 years. Right now, we are having the devastation effects of poor rates in the last 4 years. International factors like the oil market, which of course affects all our facets of life. Some of the factors are beyond our own control, so sometimes we leave it to just the fate. Now, if the economy is not performing, so it's the market. So the demand for goods and services is going to be low. This coupled with the proper planning. What is planning? Is how you manage the resources that we have. For instance, sometimes we may plan in such a way, yes, the facilities that we have are producing this number of graduates at whatever level, but our internal market cannot take them. We open ourselves to external marketing, yes, nothing prevents us. That's why we say that we live in a globalized world. You look at the case of Nigeria, quite a big chunk of the Nigerian population is working outside Nigeria. You look at the American population, a number of American employment within America is not necessarily by America, by people from other nations. So when you don't have the capacity within your nation, you can now seek outside. But the emphasis is on planning and the requisite skills as dictated by the needs of the economy. So that's why it becomes a complicated thing. Now, unfortunately, when you don't plan for a generation, now this will now feed into the next generation. And then you have an influx of people who basically are idle, or when they get something to do, they result into what economists call disguised employment. You sort of cheating yourself, you're employed, yet you're not employed. You are doing work that cannot sustain your life, let alone the life of other people. And now that brings in some other dimension of frustration that we find with young people, and that has also its own repercussions, like desperation, abuse of many substances like drugs, alcohol, and other related issues. In that way, society becomes very unstable and very insecure.
Apart from planning and requisite skills, what other things could be done or solutions would you offer so that we can reduce the rate of unemployment in our country?
Much of it has also to do with the youth themselves to try and change their mindset. Much as we may not have very good planning for them, it's also good now that we live in a globalized world to start thinking global. We are lucky that we also in a technological era where with the provision of a simple technological gadget like a mobile phone, you are able to access the world and you have it at your fingertips. It's also good to benchmark with other youth from other countries and find out exactly what they do with themselves. But the first thing they can say is mindset. Now, if you go to school with the idea that once I finish my schooling experience, I must be employed, then you might be in for a shop. In Japan and much of the Asian countries, the youth are competing to come up with innovation. In fact, much of Europe and even Asia, university education is not the main emphasis. The main emphasis is about skill, but then again, we need to change the mindset, both of the young people and also the parents. That indeed, education does not result into automatic employment, rather into an exposure of your mind and a discovering of other talents that you could be in. For instance, like the arts, you see, music, even engaging in foreign language, because that is still quite scarce in quite a number of marketplaces, I mean, where skills are required. For instance, for groups of us who are in the Commonwealth countries where English is the domain language for official communication, we find that we have a disadvantage because we only learn English, which is okay, it's quite a universal language, but we don't learn a language like French or Spanish or even Arabic or Chinese. So we find even when we want to compete for jobs globally, we are limited by the fact that we can only use one language. But when you look at our counterparts who are in Frankfurt countries, where French is the main language, but it's trying, but the useful thing is to learn English and also other languages. So in the group competition for employment opportunities, they have an edge of us. For us in here, is poor sensitization, especially for young people. And young people normally are able to learn language better than the older people. So we have that disadvantage. Now, how would you learn a foreign language? For instance, you can draw in a training institution that offers that language. Some schools do offer the language. And then you can also enroll online, and then you get certification. And then that way, you're improving your chance of employment. But the other mindset I was talking about is us believing that you can only be employed to make a living. It is not correct, you see. Now, people are talking about other forms of employment like smart farm, where you don't require even a big pieces of land, but just a little bit of technical know-how and assistance from the experts who we find from government sector and also the private sector. And then trying to discover and rediscover other talents that we have, like music. See, this is it. Or any other, like even comedy, for instance, even content creation, so that being in school does not give us an automatic license for employment. And also the other thing is appreciating that indeed unemployment is real. Because we must appreciate so that now we can think of strategies of countering that. Why is it real? Because we're in a developing world, the economies are suffering a lot of devastation, both internal and external. Our political systems are still not that stable and predictable. And we are most of the ravages of climate that, of course, now affecting even our weather patterns. So even farming becomes very tricky. So there are myriad of challenges that make it very hard for us to offer employment to our people. But once we have the right mindset, it's not very difficult because it has happened in other countries, which are even not endowed with much natural resources, like Israel, for instance, even Japan, or even Switzerland, where basically we think of the self as a resource, the human person resource. Then that way we can surmount the challenge of unemployment in our society, and also in Kenya as a country.
Okay. What do you think are some of the things that the government can do so that to also reduce the rate of unemployment?
Like I said earlier on, the government's main responsibility is basically not to offer direct employment per se, but also to create what is now called an enabling environment to create wealth and enterprises. And then by doing so, you're also opening up employment opportunities. Yes, true. In this endeavor to serve the public, governments all over the world, of course, will also be avenues for employment. But also remember, the more the government employs, the more it compromises on resources meant for development and infrastructure. It's the same infrastructural development that will give rise to enabling employment for now citizens to get into enterprises. So it's a competition. So once the government plans, I will still emphasize, planning is the key thing. And we have the short-term planning, the medium-term, and the long-term that spans over 10 years. And then having a very good vision for our society, such that yes, we are living today in 2023, as we must see our country in the next 50 years, in the next 100 years. And this informs us of the need to have Vision 2030 in 2008, a vision by the former President Mwai Kibaki that saw Kenya beyond today in the long term. And a number of strategies were put in place, opening up resort cities all over the country, coming up with improved infrastructure development projects, and a number of other amenities like water, energy. This can all catalyst for development. And then subsidizing education. So at least all citizens have basic and decent education at least at the level of the Form 4, which is okay because at that level, one is enough to think beyond employment. And also expanding on talent academies, be they in sports, be they in the arts, or whichever other sector that the young people may find now solid in discovering the talent that you have as a means of being self-employed. And when you're also self-employed, most likely you also create employment for other people. Now, when you are stable in employment, and eventually when you are of age and then you are also in a family, there's a possibility you also like to engage somebody also to take care of your family, and also means also you also employing other people. So you can see the rapid effect of a stable employment economy, because people have opportunities, and those opportunities of course give rise to other opportunities, and that's where then you can reduce. You have mentioned about government. The responsibility of unemployment or lack of it is not only the government, is with everyone, including the private sector. Yes, private sector is profit oriented, but in that way, they also require the human resource to enable it make the profits they envisage. That's quite okay. So there must be partnership between government and the private sector. And today we have a number of projects that are undertaken by both by government and private sector, and what they call a PPP, that is a public-private sector involvement, and they are doing quite well. The whole idea of unemployment or tackling unemployment is cannot be left in the hands of government alone. It is the government, the private sector, the citizens themselves, so that everybody plays a part in limiting the challenge, because it's real and it's true. It's not only in Kenya, it's most countries. Actually, it's not possible to find a country in the whole world that has been able to absorb all its labor force. Even in America, which is a first world country, you still find quite high levels of unemployment because of some of the challenges that we're talking about here. Employment is directly related to performance of the economy. So if the economy is not performing, then employment rates also come down. Yes.
Okay. I hope you're learning something, that the issue of unemployment is not an issue of the government only. It's for everyone to think outside the box to come up with a solution, and planning and having the required skills is also important in this quest of reducing the rate of unemployment in our country. Maybe as we conclude, what would be your message to the young people and the final remarks?
Yeah, my message to the young people is simple. It's true, let's face the challenge that there is no guarantee for direct employment immediately after training, but that should not discourage us. Now, these days we are not talking about thinking out of the box, it's thinking without the box at all. Can we be a little bit more creative in our thinking, a little bit innovative in our thoughts, such that we may even use the resources that are at our disposal to offer self-employment and eventually also employ other people. We must drop the mentality that the schooling is about employment. No, it's about exposing ourselves to the world of opportunities. We have unlimited opportunities in this world, yes. Where am I saying so? Beyond our native countries, there are numerous opportunities in other countries. Interestingly and ironically, a number of countries in this world are looking for specific categories of skills because they don't have it. Many of the countries have their young people who are taking other professions outside of what is also required in those countries, and the others also suffer the problem of low population that sometimes does not cope with their increasing rates of economic performance. So you find a population in a given country or a given country that is rich enough, so many opportunities, but there are not people to perform work. This applies to a number of countries in Europe, Netherlands included, where we have even declining rates of population. And now they are relying on populous countries, not just for the ordinary population, but for skilled population. So it's for the young people to find out what kind of skills are required outside of the labor market in other countries, and then take advantage of that. The simplest I'm talking about is about foreign language skill acquisition, which can be done online. There are a number of other things that can be done online. And then, of course, we create social networks with the friends and organizations outside of ourselves. And that, I believe, is also one of the roles of the social media to create those necessary linkages. Even people who have never met before, we have quite a number of sites, of course, how much getting that, but we are aware much as we're training here. Where can I get an opportunity, either for employment or for self-employment? I think that way, then I think the time we can alleviate the challenge of unemployment, because nobody should cheat us that unemployment can be eradicated. It can't, because hardly will you have enough resources to create employment for everyone, but can minimize the rates of unemployment.
Okay. Well, so clear in that unemployment is here with us, but that does not mean we just have to sit back and continue suffering. There are many things that you can still do, making use of the resources that are within your reach to create self-employment and eventually creating employment to other people. Thank you so much for your time and for the knowledge that you've shared with us. God bless you so much.
Thank you too, and hopefully the truth that you've shared may also shed light to some of the people who are wondering what will happen after that training. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So my name is Wangere Njeri. Let's meet next time on our next videos. Goodbye.